Well, there are a few live and hot issues dominating New South Wales politics at the moment, and joining us to discuss them is New South Wales Deputy Premier John Barilaro. John Barilaro, good morning to you. Thank you very much for your time this morning. Let's begin with the abortion bill. Mark Latham had some strong words last night. He called the Premier dictatorial and said she betrayed Parliament. What are your thoughts on those?
Well, look, you know, this is such a sensitive issue and people are going to have views and opinions. And we've got to give respect to everybody's opinion. And I think, you know, in my role, and I think in what the Premier has done, we've done exactly that. Look, people are going to hide behind or accuse the government that somehow behind process or late-term abortions or even gender selection, they're using it as a Trojan horse. These particular people don't support abortion, full stop. But this debate hasn't been about do we have abortion in this state or not. It's about decriminalising abortion and taking it out of the Criminal Act and putting it into the Health Act. And the problem now is that we've got so many different people, in my mind, hijacking the debate. But the reality is, it's simple that what we're trying to achieve is do something that every other state has achieved. And those that are not supporting the bill actually don't support abortion. And that's what we face. But you know, we live in a great country and a great democracy. People are entitled to have a view.
But Barnaby Joyce also has plenty of views. He's been very active. There's the story about the robocalls. He was at a very passionate speech last night. How effective is his involvement?
Well, again, you know, I respect Barnaby. He has a strong view on this. Barnaby and I speak. We respect each other's opinions. We share some. We oppose the views of others. But at the end of the day, look, Barnaby is entitled to say what he needs to say. What's not acceptable, you know, is to ring the homes of individuals, residents in National Party seats through his robocalling on a very sensitive issue, a very personal issue for so many, and leave what I believe is a blunt message, and one that, you know, in my own electorate office we're receiving lots of correspondence that people are being upset by it. And to be honest, you know, I'm happy for Barnaby to bombard me with texts, phone calls, phone messages, even lecture me. But don't lecture my constituents or my voters. I think they've got a decent enough local member.
Yeah, well, as a federal MP, should he be getting involved? Well,
as I said, you know, this is beyond jurisdictions, you know, state or federal jurisdictions. You know, everyone is entitled to a view on such a sensitive, personal and tough area. And, you know, governments of all colours over decades have always struggled with these social issues, and this always brings out debate. He's entitled to a view. I have no problem with that. I actually don't support what he's doing with the robocalling. I think that's a complete intrusion in people's privacy at home.
In its final form, are you concerned about how this bill is going to look? Because it seems as though there are going to be many, many changes as opposed to how it looked in its first instance.
No, I think that's the process of Parliament. You've got the lower house, you've got the upper house. The upper house is the House of Review. They have an opportunity now. There is no truncation of debate. I mean, everyone's, you know, again today talking about that the Premier has been pressured into allowing the debate to continue beyond this week. The reality is that there are lots of speakers on the debate. We're not going to truncate that. And then there's going to be many amendments. And the reality is that we actually won't be able to deal with it this week. That buys time, which is good. And if those amendments get up in the upper house, it'll come back down to the lower house, and we get a chance once again to deal with those amendments. It is actually exactly how Parliament should work, and it's working.
John, just a couple of quick issues before you go. Yesterday came confirmation that you helped save 682 jobs at Essential Energy. It looked for a long time that you were not going to be able to save these jobs. So in the end, how were you able to do it?
Well, look, firstly, you know, anyone that knows me, and you guys know me, I'm quite vocal. I think my job as an elected local member, as the leader of the New South Wales Nationals, and especially the Minister for Regional New South Wales, is to fight for my communities and fight for regional communities. We're in the worst drought. These jobs are important, and we fought for them. We were vocal publicly, and we fought behind the closed doors of Cabinet and leadership, and we were able to achieve an outcome that we were calling on, and that is for Essential Energy to halt these job losses. It now gives us time to have a look at options and efficiencies for Essential Energy and restructure the business model in a way so that jobs aren't lost, not just today, but in the future. I'm proud of what we've achieved, and the Nats have clearly shown that they can deliver in government.
So are they saved, or is there just a pause on this? Because it should be said that some 2,000 jobs have been lost from Essential Energy since 2012.
Well, there's no doubt that, over the last couple of years and the last 8 years, there's been restructuring the energy market. Every energy provider, like Essential Energy with the poles and wires, has strict guidelines under the determination by the AER, the regulator, to put downward pressure on prices, and we don't hide from that. They've made those changes, but these particular job cuts, I believe, have come at a terrible time. That's why we've stopped them. They have been stopped. These jobs won't be lost. And that gives us an opportunity to work with Essential Energy to work through a business model that puts job cuts at the bottom of an efficiency process rather than at the start. And that's what I'm really confident about. A new model that could take another 12 months to deliver, but in the meantime, these jobs are safe, and I'm proud of that.
OK, but in the long term, I mean, there's still a possibility that they might not be safe.
Well, no, I disagree, because, as I said, we'll look for other efficiencies. And I'm confident that we'll be able to find a business model that values workers and values that the workers are the greatest asset. Essential Energy is very different from some of those other networks. It's predominantly in regional and rural New South Wales, so there is a community service obligation, and I think we'll find a model that works.
John, just a really quick answer if you can, because I want to ask you about these trespass laws. Often they can embolden protesters. We've seen that in Brisbane and Queensland with the anti-Adani Crusaders. How sure are you that these trespass laws will have a desired effect against these so-called vegan vigilantes?
Well, we introduced a right to farm legislation. This is new laws, never seen in this state or this country. Tough penalties. We believe not only the penalties and the jail terms will stick, they will. We had the police with us yesterday at the announcement. It's powers that we require. And my message to anyone, if you plan to protest, you better plan for jail.